last year here at Grand Park as they had to go indoors to knock off Northwestern. Today they try to do it against Minnesota. Let's take a look at our Discover starting lineups. First for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Well, they're in a 4-3-3. Their strength is in the midfield. We talked about how good Ogle is quarterbacking this team, but watch Charlotte Williams underneath the center forward Talaferri. Her well-timed runs in and around the box makes her dangerous. She has 3 goals and 5 assists on the season.
And our Discover starting lineups for the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Molly Fiedler, one of the seniors that makes up that strong spine, has chipped in 14 points with 8 assists. She is always looking for her strike partner, Bakken up top. She is so good with the ball at her feet and unlocking defenses with well-weighted passes.
Minnesota will be counting on Maddie Nielsen, just a sophomore, 59 saves. She's lowered her goals against average to 1.03.
Exactly, because her confidence has grown as the season has gone on. It's going to be imperative for her today to pick and choose her moments to come off her line.
And for Penn State, Amanda Dennis coming up huge on Friday with a big right-hand save. The junior from San Diego, top 10 already, all-time in wins.
And Coach Dombach says that she is playing some of the best soccer of her career right now. She is the anchor for this defense.
And our Bear keys of the game, Kate Markgraf, break them down.
Oh, well, for Minnesota, it's key for them to have quality pressure, especially on the midfield, not let them get too high or too low as a block so they're not creating any easy gaps for them to exploit, and to have excellent ball movement. Keep this team moving. And for Penn State, shut down Bakken, don't allow service into her. And for the same thing for Penn State is they want their midfield to have such great offensive movement in anticipation of receiving the ball that they create and open up seams and gaps to exploit.
All right, the wind will play a factor here today. Extremely windy at Grand Park, Westfield, Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis. Your wonderful host yet again, Dean Linke, Kate Markgraf with you. Penn State in blue jerseys, Minnesota Golden Gophers in white. And here is the quarterback, Emily Ogle, Big Ten Midfielder of the Year. Quick corner kick, high lofted ball into this wind. Minnesota will clear. Erica Dombach, what a job she has done at Penn State in 12 years, 4-time Big Ten Coach of the Year, looking for her 11th overall title in those 12 years, either regular season or Big Ten tournament, and also the continuity with her staff, Ann Cook and Tim Wasso, the fine goalkeeper coach. They've been together a long time, they've grown together, and that consistency has been key.
And they have such well-defined roles. The teams know what to expect from their coaches, know who to go to when they have a certain issue, tactically or technically. And having that delineated line of command of who you need to talk to, it just creates a solid foundation from which they can launch their attack and launch their style of play.
Minnesota Golden Gophers with this amazing senior class that not only have been together at Minnesota the entire time, most of them played club soccer together, some of them since they were freshmen in high school. The rest of them joined in when they were a senior in high school. So you talk about a group that has a tight bond. This Minnesota Golden Gopher class, certainly the senior class does.
And that continuity together and that connectedness, it allows for those moments when you need a little bit of extra motivation. You look to that teammate that you rely on for so long, and you look to them to help you out. But right now, when I look at Minnesota, they're going to have to figure out how to handle this win. Penn State starts strong, and they don't give up many goals in the second half. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to keep the ball on the ground against this wind, because every time it gets above 3 or 4 feet, the wind is stopping the ball and almost pushing it backwards, so they're unable to clear pressure.
Yeah, Stephanie Golan telling us right before the game that the keys to playing in the wind will be quick ball movement on the ground and an organized back line. And you definitely want to try to score with the wind behind you. Minnesota play it out of the back. Stephanie Golan, the head coach for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, your 2016 Big Ten Coach of the Year, 7 great seasons. They followed a take the stairs mentality. It's all over the locker room. It's their mantra, and the senior class saying the freshmen have bought in as well. And that has been key.
Every team has a mantra, and it's fun to see what teams come up with. And Minnesota wants to embrace that blue-collar work ethic and making sure that they're doing everything they can in every single setting to do pick the tougher tasks. So when they're prepared to go and handle big challenges like the uphill climb they face today, they have the strategies in place to be successful.
So roll out of bounds, but stay with Minnesota. Again, Minnesota in white, Penn State in blue. Penn State looking for their 7th double. That would be the 7th time they won the regular season and the tournament in the same year, as they have been the class of the Big Ten for a long, long time. 23 straight NCAA appearances, 19-time now Big Ten regular season champs, winning their 19th this year, and 7-time Big Ten tournament champs. And as I just said, 6 times they've won the double. Good little move by Minnesota. Right down the middle is Fiedler. Fiedler's got Bakken. Fiedler gonna take it, and denied with the shot by Alina Ortega Jurado. And it's a corner kick as Fiedler, with Bakken going over to the right, takes the shot.
But it starts with this little deception. Wrong foot's Ogle, and Fiedler continues to drive in the gap. She's trying to find her left foot. Well done by Jurado to close down. Jurado continues her pressure and shutting down the space. And Maddie Castro's second shot earns Minnesota their first corner kick of the game.
26 career assists for Molly Fiedler, ranks her 3rd all-time at Minnesota. Headed out of there, as it's Bakken who takes the corner kicks. It's going to roll out of bounds. Rolls out of bounds. Of course, Penn State winning the national championship in 2015. Erica Dombach winning that title, actually knocking off Rutgers in the semifinals. Moving on to the national championship game. Rio actually scored her first career goal against Rutgers in that semifinal game and was named to the NCAA tournament team as a freshman. She came in ready. Out of bounds off Minnesota, be a throw in for Penn State. Ogle over the top, looking for dubs. Once again, Carrie Abello, who's got 7 goals, 5 assists, 3rd-team All Big Ten, and scored actually both goals during the regular season against this Minnesota team. She is listed as doubtful and not expected to play. Did not play on Friday and not expected to play today. She did play in that first game against Michigan where she got injured. Bakken is in. Bakken, and the flag is up far side though. Come back to Penn State.
And you get to see the quick explosiveness in Bakken. She is deceptively fast. You see her starting to move, you see the strides, but then she's covering more ground than anybody else. She makes it look so effortless. Now, if you're Penn State, you're going to have to watch that speed the entire time. Make sure that you don't step too far forward in advance in the attack and keeping the team compact and drop every single time you think there might be long service.
Bakken's effort on Friday, her 4th multi-goal effort of the season. Williams. Good ball over. This is trouble. Hard tackle coming in, though. Last minute saving the day is Emily Peterson, who has come all the way back from ACL surgery just back in March. Less than 6 months she's been back there to stabilize the team.
And it's Charlotte Williams here winning the foot battle against Minnesota. A nice slotted ball to the back pressure, back post, and looking for Talia Ferry, but Peterson diving safe, reading it at the right moment. When you go to ground as a defender, it is so key to time that perfectly, not only when you do it, but the angle at which you approach, because you want to make sure the referee does not think that you possibly got part of the player and award a penalty kick. That was a game-saving, potentially game-saving tackle.
Peterson tore her ACL, Kate, on March 13, had surgery March 26, and immediately said, you know, I'm not going to play professional soccer after this, so I'm going to do everything I can. And I don't know if you've seen too many stories like this. Back out on the field, at least training in 4.5 months, and actually playing in games after 6 months. And that's Peterson right there, ready to go, no brace. She got used to kind of how it felt in 5 months, and with each game, it's felt better, and she said she feels really good now. It's just amazing.
5.5 months is crazy.
Castro will push it out wide, but too far. Oh, it stays in as it hits the corner flag. Winding Stad coming forward from that right back position. Fiedler. Fiedler's got only one speed, and it's full goal for number 6. Peterson playing in just her 13th game of the season, missed the almost first month, but she really has stabilized that spine for Minnesota.
What's impressive is how she organizes everybody else. Right now, I think where you see Minnesota maybe get exploited is sometimes that the center back pairing. They're a little bit off with their spacing. They're a little bit over to one side. And they did not get punished in the semifinals, especially that one time off of a free kick in which they were unorganized. But she is that one that is responsible for those last-ditch tackles, laying everything on the line.
Great ball in, Bakken from Fiedler. Good job by Jean to come back and win it. And now we've got another whistle.
Bakken used her arms on that one, and the referee did not like it, giving the advantage back to Penn State. Now, if the Gophers can connect their passes in the final third, they'll be able to hold possession a little bit longer. They're advancing the ball. They're able to build in the midfield. It's just that midfield to forward pass that they're missing at the moment.
You see part of the story there of Peterson playing the full 90 in the last 4 games. She had tapered minutes to start, worked her way back in, and she's not going anywhere now, Kate.
Well, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know your season's almost over with. You played a different level of motivation that is noticeable. That's why whenever there's a senior-laden team, they usually make a push during conference play because they know this is it. You don't hold on to anything else. You don't wait for next year. You make the best of the situation. You go full throttle.
Nielsen comes out. Molly Fiedler playing with the Minnesota Thunder Academy since freshman year in high school with Heslin and Peterson, and then their senior year, April Bakken and Maddie Castro join. That's the core of that incredible senior class for Minnesota. Penn State had it for a moment. One back by the youngster Ward. Winding Stad trying to get it back to Ward. Fiedler's also there, cleared out of there by Ortega Jurado. Dana Kuhn, sophomore from Colorado Springs, converted from a midfielder forward spot to a center back and settled into that role. Right down the middle, Moyer trying to find Talia Ferry with Williams lurking. And there's Ogle. Just a quick little touch to Dubs, the freshman from Switzerland. Kept alive by Talia Ferry. Now Williams. Tell you, quick whistles so far with minimal contact.
And this is Heslin with a little bit of pressure, and it's the fact that she nicks her foot right there. But to me, she's going for the ball because just a second prior, it was on Williams' right foot. But with the win, it'll be interesting to see if Ogle takes this and tries to get this on net.
Ogle, top of the 18 instead. Dubs. Nielsen has it.
The shot for the Nittany Lions by number 24, Kim Dubs. Save number 1, Maddie Nielsen.
Rio, too strong again with the win behind Penn State at the moment. If you're Minnesota, you want to do all you can to keep it at zeros or try to sneak one in going against the wind, because you got to believe the wind's only going to pick up throughout the day. Ortega Jurado, you saw her push up more to midfield as the game went on Friday against Janet Rayfield and Illinois, who I think improved their credentials and chances of making the NCAA tournament. You got to feel like 5 is a lock for the Big Ten to get in. 6 is not unreasonable, and really there's 8 or 9 teams that have good enough credentials, if not for so many other teams, and the parity in the game stepping up. A lot of great programs out there. Over the top, Bakken doesn't need a whole lot of room. Push it out wide to Ward. And Ward will earn a corner kick. Corner kick, Minnesota.
Much better by Minnesota in the midfield, finding Bakken up top with a little bit of a dipping ball. And Bakken's able to watch the trajectory of the ball and adjust her movements quicker than Real or Jurado in the back, allowing her to get onto it, realizes she doesn't have any space, and she finds Ward. They do the best when their outside forwards are pushing high up on Ellie Jean and the outside backs of Penn State.
April Bakken with the second corner for Minnesota, driven in, trying to find the near post. Penn State had players on both posts ready to go. Fiedler wins it back.
The shot for the Golden Gophers by number 5, TJ McKendry.
Winding Stad, and this was part of Stephanie Golan's keys. Ball movement, try to get in that back, past that back line of Penn State. Fiedler staying with it. Fiedler back across. That was Maddie Castro actually making that great effort, and it was Fiedler right in front of the goal. So Maddie Castro, the senior from Cottage Grove, Minnesota, doesn't score a lot of goals, but she is part of that senior class that played together at the Minnesota Thunder.
And this is a different Minnesota side that we saw from the semifinals. In the semifinals, they scored in the first 3 minutes of the game, and after that, they sat back a little bit. And to be honest, Nebraska took it to them for the remainder of that half. We haven't seen a proactive Minnesota side so far this past weekend, and now we're seeing what they're able to do when they get enough numbers high enough, have enough passing options to spread out this defense of the Nittany Lions. When they're able to hold it, they're able to create some opportunities.
They do believe in these two teams in the last 5 matchups. It's been tight, a split, 2-2-1. We've seen some epic regular season battles between these two teams right here on the Big Ten Network. Some of the best games in the Big Ten Network logged between these two teams. That'll roll out of bounds, and the Minnesota bench happy with what they're seeing. Talked about that earlier. Carrie Abello, who was not expected to play today. Those were some pretty sweet goals, by the way, that she scored that one.
Oh, they were beautiful goals coming from well-executed game plans. Penn State excels when it comes from one side of the field to the other, changing that point. We'll get back to that in a second.
Ortega Jurado, she's made a long run. She's still with it and just missing to the outside. I thought that was going to go in. What a run. No Golden Gopher closing her down.
Ortega Harada has played many positions for the Nittany Lions, mostly in midfield, and this year she's back in the center back, so comfortable with the ball. She sees space in front of her, doesn't see any passing options, but look, her head is up the entire time as she's assessing the right thing to do, able to commit and then separate from defenses, but unable to put that on frame.
You know, I think her reaction, as you see second team All Big Ten, was justified. Her reaction was basically saying, wait, you guys got to join in with me. I'm making this run. and actually, because Shar Williams stopped her run, you need somebody to go with her, create a lane.
It's extremely hard, though, when someone takes off on a dribble, though, to know if they're going to pass it or not. And as players started to converge on her, that's when Charlotte Williams needs to keep her run wide to keep her player from converging and applying even more pressure on Gerardo Ortega.
Yeah, unfortunately, Williams just stopped and was enjoying what she was seeing there. And I was, too. I thought
getting some
OJ
popcorn,
was going to score.
Grabbing a soda.
Ogle. See Ward flipping sides already with Bakken. And now Rio going to make her run. The other center back trying to drop it into Taliaferri. Williams, top of the 18. So the two center backs taking turns, making runs. First OJ and now Rio. Jean.
Well, with both teams essentially lining up in the same formation, that means the midfield, the three in the midfield, are man marking each other out of being able to contribute to building the attack, which is creating these seams and these holes for the players that aren't marked, the two center backs, to come and make an impact.
There's the Big Ten Defender of the Year. As we told you, scored her first career goal in the semis of the 2015 College Cup against Rutgers. Rutgers, they're in. Michael Neal's been in every year since taking over at Rutgers. That's how good a job he's done for the Scarlet Knights. I feel like the top four seeds in the tournament, Wisconsin, Paula Wilkins. She's got some big-time players led by the Canadian Victoria Pickett. Here's Shar Williams. Ohio State Buckeyes putting it together late. Fiedler. Fiedler's got Castro to the right of her. Bakken way far right. Ward on the left. And it's Ogle who came back in support of Ortega Gerardo to win it.
That's a fun matchup to watch all game long. Ogle and Fiedler. Fiedler has had, I'd say, the better of the two, better of her opponent, but that one, Ogle wins.
All right, both center backs have made a 50-yard run. Now the left back's going to do it. Jean, with a touch, trying to play it to herself, gets back up, and that extra effort, no, they're going to say it already rolled out of bounds, but how about that? Both center backs and the left back have been the three most dangerous so far for Penn State.
Now the key is, can they do anything when they get into the box? They are defenders that maybe aren't as practiced on what to do once you've committed so many numbers and defenders to you to find the option or to release it. Here, she just doesn't have that touch to get her inside to bypass Kuhn or Peterson. That last-ditch defending right there coming into play. I would say maybe the referee got that one wrong.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to go out of bounds and stay with Penn State.
But if I'm Minnesota and I have someone on with the ball on their foot running at me, I'm going to hope it's a center back. And I'm going to hope it's an outside back. If you're going to give up something and that's the option that's available, you're going to give it to them because they're not usually as practiced as putting that in the back of the net. Maybe that's different for Ortega Gerardo, who used to play midfield, a little bit more comfortable in and around the box. But that's a different level of decision making.
Excellent point. Championship Sunday on the Big Ten Network. Field hockey coming up next, and the quarterfinals of the Big Ten men's soccer tournament. Tim Lenahan's Northwestern Wildcats, the Indiana Hoosiers. As we've got back-to-back exciting games, including crowning two champions early doors here today on BTN. Alina Ortega Gerardo will bomb it in, top of the 18. Nikki Albrecht starting again. She was very much under the weather going into Friday's game, not feeling well at all, but started the game and started the second half for Stephanie Golan's team. Bakken. Right back to Fiedler. Windingstad. Just hit that one. It'll come back to Penn State. The lone previous Big Ten tournament championship match between these two teams was played in Iowa City, Iowa. Number 1 seed Penn State posting a 2-1 victory over number 2 Minnesota back in 2008. Kate, we were there actually at the time, and it was snowing, it was freezing, we were outside, and it was quite the weekend. You remember those as a player as well, I'm sure.
And your jaw's frozen and you can't talk because it freezes every time you open your mouth. Those are good times. Those are good memories.
Oh, yeah. Throw in, taken away here, Heslin. Heslin's got Castro. Castro. Good touch by Castro into the 18 and ripped back away, coming over in support for the Penn State Nittany Lions was Shea Moyer, number 18. She does it all in the middle. Probably doesn't get enough credit for the work she does. You know, Ogle gets a lot of the attention. Rio gets a lot of the attention. Tagliaferri. But Moyer is one of those key players, the sophomore, part of the Penn Fusion Club program. Dubs. It's Dubs getting the start with the injury to Abello. Tagliaferri looking to switch it to Williams. Bakken not able to keep it in ground. There are 20 minutes remaining. Another fairly quick whistle here from the referee.
And interesting because he keeps calling it when they have advantage. That's usually the referee will let it go. The player that's been fouled continues to have the ball, is beat the pressure and moving forward. Because then it doesn't allow teams to sit back and get reorganized with the extra time that when you do call a foul allows. Now that's warranted.
That's a foul.
On Winningstad.
Jean. Side of her foot, Tagliaferri. Jean with a right foot. Good ball, far post. Ogle over her head as the wind looked like it got involved. It'll roll out of bounds, though, and come back to Minnesota.
Substitution for Penn State, number 8, Kristen Schnur, replacing number 24, Kim Dubs.
Now, when you hear us talk about Stephanie Golan taking the stairs, she talks about their approach, and their staircase goes like this. Well, right now it's going late as they started the season 3-0, and they're going to try to climb up. Kate Markgraf, break it down.
Well, they started to make huge strides in how they were performing because Peterson came back in the lineup as well as Bakken started scoring goals, 7 in the past 11 contests. And because of that, they're here now. And this is a team on the wrong side of the bubble, and they need a win today to not only guarantee their place in it, but it'll make a statement to the NCAA committee when they do seedings. And this is a challenge, an uphill battle that they hope that this mantra and this belief that they always need to handle the hard things and come up with strategies will pay dividends now when it matters most. And every team has that.
Yeah, Penn State's got the 3 pillars, and Minnesota has the take the stairs approach. And it's been contagious over the years of covering Stephanie Golan. Had a lot of fun with it with her at the Big Ten Network, and she enjoys that. We're all buying into it. And it's about that mentality mainly when you're at a hotel and you only got to go to the 2nd or 3rd floor. You know, why not just take the stairs? And it's about selflessness, making sure you have the right mentality, preparation, elevate so you're ready for every opportunity that presents itself.
And she feels her senior class embodies this with especially with Molly Fiedler, always doing the right thing, always the first one at practice. And that is contagious, and this class has bought into it. It creates that, it institutionalizes that belief so that when the freshmen come in, they already know how to do this because they watch their elders, they're mentored by them, and then it keeps perpetuating that culture. And for Penn State, their pillars involve 3 things: attitude of a champion, blue collar, which is something they're focusing on this year a little bit more, and being more connected and united family, that this is the core group in which we're going to win stuff through. One of the smallest rosters they've ever had. They know they need to rely on each other in order to go the distance.
Albrecht. Yeah, I appreciated your comments before the game. Like, just something to unite your team around, right? And it works at all levels. It works with the little kiddies right on up to the highest professional team. And
Just makes it simple.
Shar Williams. And Talia Ferry in front of her. She'll drop it back. Ball. Give and go. Williams to make it 1-0, but right to Nielsen. Williams was in. It was Schnurr holding it up, dropping it back to Williams, but she hit it right to Nielsen.
The shot for the Nittany Lions by number 12, Charlotte Williams.
Well, Schnurr's insertion into the lineup, she excels with building with others. Talia Ferry then laying it off to Williams. Williams, perhaps next time, take that on that first touch. You saw this in the semifinals as well. She likes to take maybe that one extra touch every single time, and with so many numbers in the center of the park, condensed in the opponent's own box is when you need to play a bit quicker.
3 shots to none for Minnesota. Penn State with the win behind them. Nielsen will punch it. She's down on the ground, and before Ogle can get to it, first clearance, looking to sneak it far post, not on frame. And now, if you're Minnesota, you got an eye on the clock with the win behind the opposition. You want to try to survive these 14 minutes and change.
Well, especially because Penn State is a second half team. They make excellent halftime adjustments. They score 24 of their goals compared to 12 they score in the first half. So they're dominant offensively, and defensively they've only allowed 10 goals in the second half.
Yeah, and they'll deal with that wind right there, almost 20 miles per hour here at Westfield, Indiana. Grand Park just outside of Indianapolis. The Big Ten Women's Soccer Championship game on BTN. Number 1 Penn State and the 7th seed Minnesota Golden Gophers going on the road to beat Rutgers with a late goal and then taking care of business. It's been all April Bakken in the Big Ten tournament. A 2-0 win over John Walker's Nebraska Cornhuskers team on Friday. Jean staying with it. Good extra effort. Schnurr was hoping to drop it to Ogle. Ogle's going to get it back anyway. Ogle cuts it back. Getting through Heslin. Moyer, now Jean. Got a big target in there now with Schnurr. Get that bounce back off of Jean. It did. Jean had her first assist of the season in the first game of the Big Ten tournament as she found Shiva to knock off Michigan, also in the final minutes of regulation. Good time to get assist number 1 on the season for number 14. This time the spin was read by the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Ogle did it a second ago. This time picked off there by the Gophers. Rio, the best defenders in the country. Moyer's got Schnurr on the left, Williams on the right. Talia Ferry making a run, but then held up as Minnesota did a good job stepping up together.
There's so many numbers in the center of the park. The wide inside channels and the wide channels are where there's going to be opportunities to create and set play. It's going to be critical for the front runners, and the players are in the highest point on the back line of Minnesota, for them to stay high and then wait for that moment that it gets wide and then read when to come over and help.
Substitution for Minnesota, number 2.
They're so used to having their midfield dictate everything for Penn State. Now they need to rely on their outside backs, as well as when their midfielders are able to get out of that congested central part and then set play from there.
Mackenzie Langdock, a sophomore from St. Michael, Minnesota, wearing number 2, has come on for Stephanie Golan. Coach Golan, in lieu of Albrecht's injury, was even talking about changing formations. She's going to stick with 4 in the back against this talented Penn State team.
She's moving much better today, though. She was hurting in that semifinal game. Could only go about 15 minutes before she never really started strong either, and she quickly dropped off.
Yeah, yesterday was all really about her just getting as much rest and hydration and nutrition. It was a big day yesterday for Albrecht. In fact, that was the first thing Stephanie Golan talked about as she was getting ready for this game. Basically, Albrecht kind of got a free pass, right, just to rest and get her body ready. Peterson, so smart. Knock it off of Penn State. It'll be a goal kick.
Substitution for the Golden Gophers, number 15. McKenna Beisman.
McKenna Beisman, a freshman,
April Bakken.
also from Minnesota, going to come on. April Bakken will get a rest here. A little surprised by that. Might also be part of managing the final 10 minutes here, though, and maybe more of a defensive shape with
Exactly,
the wind.
Dean. You figure you don't need me here. And also, I think sometimes you pull a player out just to protect their confidence. So they have a couple extra minutes to reflect, to watch. You can explain it like, hey, we need a little bit more defensive presence. We're going to give you some rested legs. So you have even more energy to take on the backs in the second half, because that's when we're going to need you.
So Stephanie Golan and her new staff pushing all the right buttons and hoping to survive these final 10 minutes of the first half with the wind going right at Maddie Nielsen and the Golden Gophers. Windingstad. Fiedler. That's your attacking midfielder who is all over the field. I asked her about it yesterday. Said she's played like that since the day she had a soccer ball. Just full speed. Rio comes back to help out OJ. Here is OJ, Alina Ortega Jurado, the German, and another whistle. June. Well, they had more time, but we'll knock it out of bounds, and more subs coming in. Penn State going to go to their bench as well. Laura Suero, a junior from Pennsylvania, part of the FC Bucks Freedom Program.
Laura Suero, replacing number 18, Shea Boyer.
Ogle spinning. Ogle's got Jean. Nobody home for Jean. Pressure there from Ogle. Now, Ortega Jurado. Williams. No whistle that time on Kuhn. Williams looking for options. Gives it to Jean. Nielsen screaming away, so problem is it's right into the wind. So now Ogle. Top of the 18. Ortega Jurado pushed off the ball. That was the sub, Langdock. Minnesota has a lot of white jerseys in and around the 18 right now.
Definitely a bunker mentality with Penn State able to hold on the ball and slowly build it. It's driving lots of Minnesota numbers back, but this is when Penn State can be exploited on the counter if they're able to clear this pressure.
Golden Gophers now. Megan Gray into the game for Stephanie Golan with, like Ward, a nice freshman coming in this year for Coach Golan. Gray and Ward scored goals early on and have not scored a ton since. 3 times a number 7 seed has won the championship game. Minnesota trying to make it 4 times. The last one came in 2005 when Wisconsin, the number 7 seed, actually beat a number 8 seed Michigan. So there against Shiva. Shiva, the hero against Michigan. See that backing up what I just talked about. Wisconsin doing it back in 2005. Langdock had it for a moment. Elliston Knopf, the 5 Penn State Nittany Lions that were part of that U20 team a couple years ago, where they all took redshirt years. Ogle, Reel, Knopf, Gene, Chandler Rose, who has moved on, former goalkeeper. Rose Chandler, I said Chandler Rose, I reversed that. Rose Chandler was available to play this year, but decided to go pro like Laura Freigang did. Or they'd have those 2 players out there as well, and Laura Freigang was star among stars last year as Penn State won the tournament title.
Just the quality players are able to get in. And that's a good thing for everybody in the Big Ten because it raises the profile when one of your teams does so well in the conference. And the higher profile that your conference has in terms of the overall rankings, besides, I think they call it the Big Five or what have you, the more teams are likely to be selected for postseason play. It used to be the ACC. Now I believe they're 3rd. And it's the SEC and the Big 12, which I think are 1 and 2.
No score here, under 5 minutes remaining. Windingstad. Gray. And Gene's gonna knock it out of bounds, and this will work just fine with Minnesota, as now just 4 minutes remaining, and they'll come out for the second half and have the wind.
Hello.
I think someone wants my job.
Knocked out of bounds. It'll be a throw in back for Gene. Grand Park, Westfield, Indiana. Amazing complex for soccer, softball, and baseball, but just tons of fields out here, one after another. Another whistle. Referee's been pretty consistent about even any hand-to-hand combat, as Molly Fiedler is whistled. Three minutes and change. Each team that has scored first has advanced. Remember, only 8 teams get into the Big Ten tournament. Ortega Jurado. Stepping up is Real. Frankie Taliaferri, first team all Big Ten. Good ball far side, trying to find Shiva, but it'll roll out of bounds. When you serve those balls, you also have to manage the wind a little bit and perhaps take a little bit off.
And also, if you're the recipient or the intended recipient, hold your run a bit and go a little bit wider, because you know that ball is going to carry there. I think it was more Albrecht doing enough to distract Shiva. not quite sure where that ball was going to fall. It was enough to disrupt her run.
Fiedler. I think every coach on any team, no matter what the sport, would take a Molly Fiedler type player. Right? That mentality gives everything.
Well, you love the attitude, but I love her first touch. She's always able to see where the pressure is.
That was Fiedler who gave it up right there. Going the other way is Numador, Selena Numador. She's bumped off the ball. The referee this time says, nope, that's not a foul. Albrecht. Kuhn to Windingstead. Pressure there from Taliaferri. Penn State.
1 minute remaining
with that effort. 1 minute remaining.
1 minute.
Langdock. Real. Eliminating players like she has done her entire career. Nielsen way out off her line. It'll fall. Ortega Jurado's gonna try to chip Nielsen, who did get herself back in position.
We talked about Nielsen's decision making, and it's going to be critical. In that moment, she had enough time because Penn State did not continue their pressure. She could have let the ball roll into the box and collect it. This time she decides to clear it, misclears it, goes straight to Shiva. And then Ortega Jurado, who had the right idea, just didn't have the technique to punish Nielsen's error.
Bouncing around, 10 seconds remaining, and with that clearance, this will be our first scoreless first half in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game since 2014, as Minnesota surviving the #1 seed, regular season champs, and surviving the win at zeros.
And Minnesota's game plan to shut down that midfield is working. Everything going wide and asking the back line of the Nittany Lions to help set play. Now the wind will be a factor. It was a factor in the first half going against Minnesota. It'll be interesting to see how Minnesota is able to take advantage of the environment.
Amanda Dennis, part of 378-minute active shutout streak. No goals allowed in the Big Ten tournament for 0-0. She was not tested at all, but she'll also have to deal with the wind in the second half.
Her not being available today, you can see other people trying to figure out ways to solve and create some attack from the wide areas. That's a big loss for Penn State.
Well, yeah, she's got 7 of those 38 goals. That's a lot, including those 2 that you saw against Minnesota in the regular season. Second half underway, 2018 Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament Championship game, Westfield, Indiana, the glorious Grand Park. And Penn State coming out, going against the wind on the attack. As Fiedler drops back. Great to be alongside Kate Markgraf, 2 gold medals, World Cup champion in 1999. I'm Dean Linke. Championship Sunday. Field hockey will crown a champion after this, and the men's soccer quarterfinals will get rolling. Just another exciting Sunday on BTN. Golden Gophers perhaps going to change their game plan with the wind at the back. McKenna Beisman, the freshman wearing number 15, will start the second half late in the first half. Peterson, that huge save coming out of nowhere, sliding in on Williams in the first half, making the first half highlights. Ogle will come back to Rio. Shiva. Yeah, you think about it. Taliaferri's got 7 goals on the season. Schnurr's got 7 goals. She comes on as a sub, and then Obello 7 goals. So they start the first half and the second half missing actually 14 of those 38 goals. Schnurr did come on. I thought she was nice her back to goal as well. They'll need her as well with the wind now going against her to hold up the ball.
I thought she was more impactful in the semifinals in that central high spot with Taliaferri going out wide for Dubs. It'll be interesting to see when Taliaferri does get substituted in, where she goes into and what slot.
You can already tell Penn State knows what they're going to do. They do it anyway. They play an attractive brand of soccer. They're going to keep it on the ground here dealing with the wind as Nolf will earn a throw in. Schnurr stays in to start the second half wearing that number 8 jersey. Here's Shiva. Now Ogle. Nice short passes. It's one way to manage the wind. Here's Jean. Jean, she's in the 18. Knocked away and Williams can't get over it, but Ogle can. Maddie Elliston Nolf. Shiva back to Williams. Win or no win, Penn State picking right up where they left off. And there's that battle that Kate Markgraf wanted to see. Ogle and Fiedler going at it.
And Fiedler having to play a little bit more defensive to try to nullify Ogle. Look at them back to back. Both very strong on the ball, excellent balance, don't get disrupted with a little physical contact. But if you put Ogle under pressure, at least disrupts her a bit and buys your team enough time to get defensively organized. Because once she's turned up and facing you, her technique on the ball, the weight in which she puts on the pass, as well as her decision making, is top notch. So even if you don't get on it and you don't win it, at least you bought your team some time to get better prepared defensively.
Real. That calm stride and calm ability on the ball. She won it back and then she plays it over to Alina Ortega Jurado. Jurado and Real both made runs down the middle in the first half. Jean also made a run along the left side. Ogle heads it right back to Williams. That's going to roll all the way out of bounds. Again, the last 3 Big Ten tournament titles have been won by one of these two teams. 15 and 17 by Penn State. 2016 by Minnesota. Beisman, one bounce and no problem to Amanda Dennis. Our first real good look at her as she had nothing to do in the first half. Dubs. Ogle quickly. Now Williams.
15, McKenna Beisman. Save number 00, Amanda Dennis.
Looking for Schnurr, but Peterson sends it to Beisman. That's the first shot on goal versus Penn State since 2016. That's quite some time, as we showed you the highlights from Penn State's win during the regular season. Ortega Jurado, top of the 18, Nielsen. Maddie Nielsen has been part of this run here late. In fact, she was so important in that game against Rutgers, came up with big saves. Amira Ali was all over the Minnesota goal late for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and Nielsen managing her line, coming out like she did right there, top of the 18, making big saves when her team needed it. Schnurr, 7 goals and 3 assists. Started some games, but really been a super sub for Erica Dombach's Penn State Nittany Lions. Ortega Jurado, the This time electing to see if she can drop it over the top to Nolf. Of course, Maddie Elliston married Jason Nolf, a 2-time NCAA champ, 3-time finalist wrestler at Penn State. That's a power couple in Happy Valley. Warrior, give it to Rio. Castro trying to take care of Jean. Jean gets too far underneath it. And it'll come back to Minnesota.
And every passing option in advance of Jean is totally shut down with so many numbers of Minnesota either on a player or clogging passing lanes. It's going to be critical for Jean to pick and choose. If she's going to cut inside, then she has to be dedicated and proactive and going to take that shot. There can't be any indecision, because I think that's what that was. She didn't want to come in and take it with a shot, but had nothing on, so then she didn't have her feet right.
Ortega Jurado. Shiva. Knocked out of bounds, and it'll be a throw-in for Penn State. Dropped in over the top. Nielsen in trouble. Williams, a swing and a miss. Just a little shaky there. Jean Castro. Boy, Williams is almost like she didn't know exactly where the ball was because Nielsen was way off her line.
Unorthodox defending can sometimes throw off the most calm and composed players because they're not used to facing that.
Jean again. Albrecht.
So the question is whether Nielsen had made the right decision to come off their line. An excellent ball dumped in between two defenders. It did get hold up. Nielsen has no business coming off her line there. She had enough defenders around Williams that could put pressure on her.
Good ball from Ogle. Sent in to Dubs. Back to Ogle. Keeper with Schnurr lurking, and Minnesota under heavy pressure here, just like they were in the first half. Wind or no wind, Penn State is bringing it. Wow, that gives you an idea of the power of the wind, though.
Yeah, she usually hits kicks about 10 yards past the center circle, so that kick was wind aided by about 30 yards.
Easily. One bounce to the goalkeeper on the other side. And you're right, yeah, Nielsen normally doesn't get a whole lot of distance off of her kicks. There's Williams. Wonder if she's still thinking about that last opportunity. Probably not. She's not afraid to shoot. Shooter's got to shoot, right? And there's Williams trying to thread the needle there to Shiva. Jean, little touch. Fiedler. Give it up to Castro. Castro gonna take a shot. And right to Amanda Dennis. There's Dennis, the junior from San Diego. What a story she is, by the way. As you take a look at this shot here from Castro.
And right now, everything for Minnesota is happening on the transition counterattack. Nobody coming up to put pressure on the ball with four defenders back, retreating, watching to see whether or not Castro's gonna lay it off to one of her wide options, decides to take it, and rightly so. Has a little bit extra power on it due to the wind, but nothing really to test Dennis in terms of accuracy of forcing her to move a bit.
Fiedler to Bakken. Bakken. And Dennis again. In 2012, Penn State made the College Cup. It was out in San Diego. Amanda Dennis, who has it now, was an 8th grader. She went to the College Cup, showed up, like the Penn State fans, ended up sitting near the Penn State fans. By the end of it, she was doing the "We Are" chant. Randomly, her mom received an email from Penn State about a 4-hour goalkeeper clinic that would take place in January the next year. She lives in San Diego. She tells her mom she wants to go. They get on a plane. They fly all the way to State College. She has the best time of her life, loves the campus, declares as a freshman in high school that she wanted to be a Penn State Nittany Lion. Bakken! And it's Dennis guarding that near post. Bakken wins it back. Bakken back across, and Bakken, Dennis denying Bakken.
And nothing really challenging Dennis on this, but it's a good sign for Minnesota to see Bakken getting on the ball, Big Ten player. That's actually well defended by Real, forcing Bakken wide, not giving her an opportunity to unleash her shot, but Bakken's able to retrieve it. But again, nothing really to test Dennis, who is excellent positioning in goal. In fact, Fiedler was a little bit upset that she wasn't played with a slot ball on the back post, asking for it for Bakken on her second chance. Now compare that to what you saw on the other side with Nielsen. Nielsen's coming out trying to make plays instead of letting the play come to her. And you get to see how much more composed it makes your back line.
There's Nielsen. Shot. Advantage now 4-3 Minnesota with the changing the wind behind Minnesota. A couple there from Bakken, and you saw Castro also with a shot here just in the last 3 minutes. Dubs. Check back and give it to Rio. Shiva. Rio coming forward. Denied there by Kuhn. Moyer. Feel like Penn State so close. Schnur was offside that time. Did not step forward when Peterson told the rest of the line to come forward.
The shot for the Nittany Lions by number 18.
You see Schnur, she's continuing her movement that way. It bounces inadvertently off Williams' shin. That's that compact defending from Minnesota. The minute the ball goes forward, they take 2 steps forward, and it takes a very disciplined concentration for whoever's that highest target forward to remember that even when they're not involved in the play, to follow that line.
Dubs had it for a moment. Loss. Fiedler. Remember Erica Dombach's #1 keys. In fact, she said it twice and then texted it twice. Lock in Bakken, and then just decided to come in with another one. And really, for the most part, I mean, April Bakken actually left with 15 minutes to go in that first half. You have not seen a ton of April Bakken until those last 2 opportunities.
And I think that's where we're going to see her, is on that transition play. That's where Minnesota is developing any of their attack moving forward, as Penn State's midfield is starting to control the ball and spread out a little bit. You see Ogle demanding that ball in the wide inside channels instead of the center backs being the ones that were there in the first half. But what's interesting is that Minnesota has been able to take advantage of the wind.
Nielsen.
Except for that.
Right, except for the goal kicks. One bounce. Fiedler.
But that's now smart, because the first one she hit went straight to Dennis, and this time we get to see the entire Minnesota offense trying to push that line, knowing that the ball is going to land at the 30.
Fiedler will give it back to Albrecht. Bakken was hoping to turn off the shoulder of OJ, but once again the wind will rush it out of bounds. 13 goals on the season for Bakken. As a freshman, 2 goals, 5 assists. Sophomore, 7 goals, 3 assists. Last year, 4 goals, 12 assists as she was dropping the dimes. This year, though, it's been Fiedler finding Bakken, 13 goals and 5 assists. And actually, it's worth noting that her 25 assists are just one behind Fiedler in their career, so both those players very unselfish. You see Fiedler's assisted on 5 of Bakken's 13 goals. April Bakken was a competitive figure skater as a kid. Super athletic. Told me yesterday on the phone that her mom considered her a Tanya Harding-like skater.
Okay, keep going. Keep going with the story.
Sense of the athletic jumps and that part of it, because she said she wasn't a frilly girl, but as far as the jumps and the competitive nature of ice skating, her athletic ability was in full display. She was pretty good from what I understand, but then decided to focus on soccer full time as she got into her teen years.
Well, what's interesting to watch is the players that have multi-sport backgrounds, they're more balanced on the ball. Charlotte Williams, an expert skier. She doesn't get knocked off the ball very often and very comfortable running with the ball in tight spaces. Same thing with Bakken, just able to be balanced in different ways.
Yeah, she talked about how it made her a better soccer player just because of those reasons right there, Kate. Schnurr, Shiva pointing into space. Schnurr, though, with her head down. Back over to Ogle. Again, Shiva asking for it. It'll come right to Nielsen. And that's more of what you're talking about, what you want from Nielsen.
Just stay calm and composed. You have enough defenders in front of you to do their job. Allow them to do their job. Your job is to mind that goal line, and only when they break down and they cannot recover do you come out.
Turnover. Peterson. Now Bakken. Fiedler can't trap it. Another one of those seniors that we've not said a ton about is Emily Heslin, senior from Woodbury, Minnesota. She was part of that Minnesota Thunder Club team for 3 years. Those 5 seniors. There's Dennis. How about San Diego? You show up as an 8th grader. I mean, that's just incredible. It's a long ways away, as you know. San Diego all the way to State College. Just randomly both showing up and kind of drawn over there, and then that clinic. And as a freshman in high school, she knew she wanted to leave sunny California and head all the way across the country. Here's Bakken. She's going to try to test Dennis, and she does. As it goes over the crossbar, Bakken is dialed in.
And Bakken is finding opportunities by laying off her defender, sitting in that gap, and so she's able to receive it. There, again, no one stepping to. Ortega Jurado did have her with the back to pressure, but then she steps off. Bakken realizes that and then decides to have a go.
That first goal she scored against Nebraska, as you said, world class.
It was insane.
Another good example of the wind just holding that ball up at Minnesota. Pocket pick, though, by Jean. Jean does not have to worry about the wind. She keeps it on the carpet. Trying to go through players. Jean stays with it, crosses it, and Nielsen, using that height, long arms, good hands, doesn't parry it over, she keeps it.
Nice soft hands from Nielsen there.
Good run from Jean. One bounce. So she just needs to take a little bit off the...
That or take a couple seconds. Allow her team enough time to advance. Right now, it's okay that you have one player challenging for it, but the problem is you don't have anyone underneath. So if the defense does win it, that second ball is ripe for the taking. You see Fielder is the one that's the more advanced than midfielder. She can't even catch up to the play. Nielsen needs to hold on to her punt for about another 4 seconds, get her team time to go up, and then go. That's a great weapon, but only if you know how to use it.
Williams. I think Williams thought Jean was going to be making a run, played it into space, and nobody was there.
We can see Jean here taking on players, gets aided by a deflection, that speed. She's looking to cut this across the top, and Nielsen just calmly holding it because Schnurr was sitting on that back post.
Nielsen, way out. She did take a little off there. Second ball, though, won by Penn State. Back into the game for Penn State, Frankie Taliaferri. 7 goals and 5 assists. First team all Big Ten. One in the middle there by Emily Heslin. Winding stand looking for Castro. TJ McKendrick wearing that number 5 jersey sits in there with Heslin, and we've not said Heslin or McKendrick's name too much, which gives you a little idea of how Minnesota is approaching this game with those 2 holding mids sitting right in front of those back 4. Albrecht feeling better, makes a good run. Could open up some space though. Taliaferri had it for a moment. Taliaferri running downhill toward the middle. Over to Ogle. Taliaferri rested off the bench. Erika Dombach, Warrior, directing traffic. Gives it to Real. Dubs. No Carriabello. Dubs dribbles right into that Golden Gopher back line.
Now it's just about letting the ball do the work instead of too many touches. Everyone from the Nittany Lions is trying to be that one that comes up with that killer pass or sets it up. Instead of letting the ball do the work, fewer touches, better ball movement, and better off the ball movement. That is what has made them so successful.
Maddie Nolf. Taliaferri. Penn State averaging almost 2 goals per game on the season, the highest mark in the Big Ten at 195 as Nielsen picks it up. They're also leading the conference in shots per game at 15.3 and shots on goal per game at just under 8. That translates to Penn State's pretty good.
They just have a complete solid team. So if one player gets shut down, another one is skilled enough to try to create something.
Schnurr can't get over it. See that graphic pretty good. Our BTN crew pretty good as well. Billy Proctor, Alex Struckman taking the stairs with those great graphics in the first half, breaking down Minnesota Golden Gophers. And Schnurr looks like she's going to come out.
Replacing number 9, Maddie Castro. And for the Nittany Lions, number 27, Marissa Shiva. Replacing number
back
8,
in.
Kristen Schnurr.
Erika Dombach, Big Ten Coach of the Year, 4th time in 12 years. Tim Wassel, the goalkeeper coach, has been there for his share, not all 12 years. Ann Cook's been there for all 12 years. Ann Cook, Erika Dombach, both pretty good players, conference first teamers at William & Mary, and Ann Cook went on to win a WUSA title first year of the Pro League with the San Jose Bay Area Cyber Rays. Next year she was with Washington and they made it to the final game. She's a winner.
She's a solid midfielder. An 8, able to connect others, but able and do the final pass. More than anything, she just is a glue type player personality-wise, really easy and chill, doesn't get too high or too low. And that allows people that are maybe going all over the place that calm backbone to rely upon. in those tense moments.
Jean plays it back to Dennis, and the wind just freezes it out of bounds to Minnesota. Winding Stad waiting as subs coming in. Junior from Omaha. Back into the game for Minnesota is Selena Numador from
Substitution
Wisconsin.
for Minnesota, number 17, Selena Numador.
Run there from Beisman. A couple of subs. Numador in for Beisman. Jean. She has been electric here in the second half. Jean gonna try to do it herself from distance, and she's not been afraid to shoot this entire game, but especially here in the second half.
One of these times you wonder if she's going to be rewarded for her efforts. Very dangerous on the dribble with her speed. It's just a matter of the end product. Well, that's a cross. That was a shot that got away from her. And you get to see Shiva running the distance on the far side. Again, I think Minnesota's happy for Jean to have the ball out wide, because she might break that initial pressure and that second pressure, but they're well positioned defensively because of the extra time that they have as she builds the ball forward to get in better spots defensively.
Trying to play it long to Bakken, but it's just impossible to figure out a way to hit that ball without not letting the wind add 10 yards onto every ball played forward. Ward. She'll come in fresh after extended time on the bench. Patricia Ward, 2 goals and 2 assists. Scored her first goal in her first match for Minnesota. 11 seconds remaining against Utah. And she got the win. There's Ward knocking it off of Dubs. In the tournament, each team that has scored first has advanced. Wanted to wait till 15 minutes before I read the note from Steve Shucker here. As entering today, Big Ten title games have gone to overtime. Fiedler over to Heslin. Nikki Albrecht down. Dennis with the save. Albrecht trying to get to it. Alina Ortega Jurado.
The shot for Minnesota by number 13, Nikki Albrecht. Save, number 00, Amanda Dennis.
And now from the other side, defensively, outside backs getting forward. Albrecht, the player recovering from the flu, is able to commit her defender and then unleash the shot. Very deceptive on when she was going to hit that. Got Dennis to ground, but those are some strong wrists. Able to parry it away, wide of danger.
5 saves today, all coming here in the second half. Bakken able to stop it at the end line. Good extra effort there from Bakken. Lofted ball, top of the 18. Ward. Won by Penn State. Here's Shar Williams with number 10, Emily Heslin. Jean, first time. Calling for the shield there was Nielsen. Good communication.
And I love what Coach Golan has done for Minnesota. She puts Ward over on Ellie Jean's side to go toe-to-toe as they're similar matched in speed, which frees up Bakken to stay higher and play a more advanced attacking role. On that right side, if you're the winger for Minnesota, you're going to play defense more than offense, trying to chase down Ellie Jean, who likes to go forward, the outside back for the Nittany Lions. That is part of the reason why Bakken's able to now make more of an impact in the final third, because she's playing on this left-hand side.
Great moves, great coaches. 2 of the top young coaches in the game. Stephanie Golan from Minnesota, Erica Dombach for Penn State. Coach Golan 7th season. Talk about that consistency with the coaching staff. Stephanie Golan saw her coaching staff depart. Crystal Coleman-Seidel, now a head coach. Becky Fletcher, Molly Riles, and Allie Lipscher, the coaching staff for Minnesota. More subs coming on now for Penn State. Dubs. It's a hand from both Coach Dombach and Coach Cook. The rest of the bench for Penn State. Smallest team Erica Dombach has ever had as far as numbers, but perhaps one of the closest. Now, Kate Chi wanted nothing to do with my question about the Magic to win another College Cup like she did just 3 years ago in 2015. She was focused only on this weekend, and I believed her.
Well, it's smart because she knows that so much can happen in conference play. And then after that, you can't control your seedings, you can't control your opponents. Matchups, you might be a 5th-ranked seed, but maybe you are better paired against an 8th-ranked seed or what have you, or someone that's higher. So she focuses on what they can control, which is having the right attitude, bringing more of a work ethic to this team. And I think with the smaller numbers, they've had to figure out different ways to win, because when a player isn't working in the past, they're able to pull them out, give them some rest, and able to adjust it a little bit. Now they have to make do with what they have with the smaller roster size. So they decide to add a bit more work ethic to their play after watching a lot of other Big Ten teams take it to them on the intensity side.
Yeah, they adapted that blue-collar Big Ten mentality, and they've won 9 in a row behind that 3-pillar foundation. Emily Ogle talked a lot about the 3 pillars yesterday during our calls. Here's Jean with the throw-in. Ogle had originally committed to Alabama, but then decommitted to go to Penn State. One of the reasons wanted to be closer to home, and she said she changed the kind of person she was, the kind of athlete she was, and wanted to represent the red, white, and blue as well. And of course, we talked about Erica Dombach, part of the USA coaching staff. In fact, she was on the bench, I believe, coaching defenders when you won one of your gold medals, right?
She was our defensive coach, very sound tactically. Like so many of the Big Ten coaches, so good at making adjustments. Like we've seen Coach Golan come out a bit differently in the second half. But Coach Dombach was one of the better coaches I had, for sure.
Kate Markgraf with 2 gold medals and that World Cup title. Here's Bakken and Fiedler. Bakken into space. Plays it up. Lumador had it for a second and lost it. Shiva comes back to take the throw in. OJ. Too long, too strong there for Ferry. Be a throw in for Albrecht. Championship Sunday on BTN. Field hockey will crown a champion after this one. Men's soccer quarterfinals will get underway with Indiana hosting Northwestern Wildcats, who knocked off Ohio State yesterday 3-1. Ogle in. Schnurr is in. Schnurr may have even clipped that far post. I'm not sure, but Schnurr timed to run perfectly. Ogle playing it into space, and it was almost 1-0 Penn State.
And Ogle with her head up commits the defender. Knows she's going to Schnurr the entire time, but bought time to allow Schnurr to make that run across, who got on the inside shoulder, just hooks it too much, trying to beat Nielsen. And that, to me, is the best opportunity they've had all game long. Have not been as threatening as we're used to saying Penn State, but that's give credit to Minnesota. It's bringing a ton of numbers back. There haven't been those seams that open, but due to excellent decision-making and interplay, Penn State was able to create one.
Bakken. Big Big Ten Forwarder of the Year. It was the Big Ten Midfielder of the Year that made that great pass, Ogle. Numador, and it's parried over the crossbar by Dennis. Dennis asking her team to close down on Numador. Amanda Dennis, she did it on Friday, and another big save here on Championship Sunday.
And Numador is expecting someone to come out. Shiva gets beat. Ogle's not putting pressure on her either. You have Ortega-Jurado right behind her. People are just watching. Dennis has every right to be upset with her team for that.
Amanda Dennis had to take a couple steps back and then jump up in the air and parry it over the crossbar. It'll be a corner kick for Bakken. Penn State has not allowed a second half goal since October 25th. August 25th. Stand corrected. That's a long time. Deflected out of there. August 25th against then number 2 UCLA at home. They do not allow goals in the second half.
To be taken by number 20. April Bakken.
April Bakken again to take the corner. No score here as Penn State outscoring opponents 24-1 in the second stanza. Bakken again, ball driven in. Dennis not able to punch it. Peterson has come forward. You know Peterson's story. She came back in less than 6 months for her final year. Wants to keep on playing soccer. Minnesota, Illinois on that bubble. Stephanie Golan started out great and then stumbled just a little bit, then got Peterson back and got themselves into the Big Ten tournament. Their biggest wins of the year coming without question against the number 2 seed Rutgers Scarlet Knights, then knocking off the Cornhuskers, trying to make it 3 in a row in the tournament. Schnurr, Taliaferri, near post. Jean sends it in. That's Williams. Ward will knock it off of Maddie Elliston-Knopf. Throw in Minnesota. 5 minutes and 30-some seconds remaining here in regulation. Still no score as Penn State doesn't make it easy. They've actually not allowed a second half goal to a Big Ten opponent since the 2017 regular season finale. That's how long it's been against Big Ten teams, and part of the reason why they won 9 in a row coming into this one. Doesn't hurt to have Amanda Dennis in form either. Emily Ogle. Take a look at our State Farm State of Success. The 2 best teams in the Big Ten tournament based on winning percentage. Penn State an amazing 730. Minnesota not too bad, as Minnesota trying to win their 3rd Big Ten title. It's Penn State and then the rest of the Big Ten.
But it's been tighter than ever, even though Penn State is the regular season champions. It hasn't been as easy for them this year as it has been in years past. And the number 7 seed has now kept Penn State off the board. Penn State needed an own goal to advance into the finals. It's just about creating quality opportunities and enough of them so you can play the percentages and have a better chance of one of those going in the more that you create.
Moyer. Kuhn. Here's Bakken. Windingstad turns it over. We are starting to see Heslin and TJ McKendrick creep up a little bit more in support of the offensive attack for Minnesota. Albrecht. No problem for Dennis as Fiedler goes down. Ollie Fiedler. Her brother, Matt, was Big Ten superstar baseball player for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Played 3 years in the St. Louis Cardinals pro system. Williams. There's Heslin coming over in time. Jean stepping up. Spaken looks a little bit fatigued. Throw in for the right back, off. Taliaferri. Ward, freshman, big minutes here. Late for Stephanie Golan. Numador, perhaps the best opportunity. Dennis parried it over the crossbar. 2 minutes and change in regulation. Winding stand, waiting for more white jerseys to join in. Bakken. It's one in the midfield. Good little touch. And now Ward. Ward gonna go inline. Hoping when she gets there, there's white jerseys to knock it to. She can't do much with it, though. It'll go out of bounds and come back to Penn State.
And now all you see is fatigue soccer, just those half chances. The passes are have a little bit more, they're more errant than they were in the beginning. The extra touches showing mental fatigue, just not making the quick decisions and being sharp.
Numador, bring it back to Albrecht. Albrecht, right foot forward. Fiedler, great job to trap it. Back to Albrecht. Shiva.
1 minute remaining.
Albrecht runs right into Maddie Knopf.
1 minute.
Williams not happy with herself. Was trying to switch the point of attack and knocked it out of bounds. Four Big Ten title games have gone to overtime. Penn State's been involved of 2 of them, winning in 2003 overtimes against Michigan in 2001, overtime again against Illinois. Minnesota has not been involved in an overtime session in the Big Ten title game. Heslin. Albrecht. Loose.
9,
Jean
8,
denied.
7, 6.
Minnesota
5,
almost
4,
able to get a shot
3,
on goal. 90 minutes
1.
of play, not enough to crown a 2018 Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament champion.
And just what you would expect in a championship game. Very tight and tense. Not a ton of clear-cut opportunities. And this thing goes into overtime.
All right, Minnesota gonna huddle as the overtime rules. They'll play 2 10-minute overtimes. It's sudden victory. You score, you win, you celebrate, you take the trophy, and you dance around. If after 2 10 minutes of play, it'll be penalty kicks, which have featured not once but twice already in the Big Ten tournament.
Well, it's always exciting when it gets to this time of year, and it does come down to those key moments. And if you're a player and you're completely fatigued, you have to remember what your 3 main responsibilities are in your role and stick to that and hope that that can help make the difference and put it away before it goes to penalty kicks.
See Penn State perfect in overtime. Minnesota 2-2-1. So plenty of experience for both teams. This will be the 6th time the Golden Gophers have gone to extra soccer. Good huddle, good energy coming out of the Golden Gopher huddle. Same for Penn State. 2018 Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament. 5 of 6 tournament games have been decided by either penalty kicks or 1 goal. As you think about the quality of play in the Big Ten, I mean, it makes you think about the fact that Northwestern wasn't even in the Big Ten tournament. They have 12 wins, including several against top 50 RPI teams. Janet Rayfield's team, you got to believe they're like just itching to get in. Minnesota could affect what they do. Nebraska on the bubble. Got to feel good about the top 4 seeds, including Amanda Dennis' Penn State team, as you would think Rutgers, Wisconsin, Ohio State will be in the NCAA tournament.
Well, that's what you would expect, but it's with such a tight conference battle in terms of the standings. It's almost like each team is taking a little bit out of each other because anyone can give on any single day. And the tournament committee knows that and recognizes it. It's just a matter of how many slots they decide to give to the Big Ten.
That is so well put, and certainly demonstrated by the fact that it's taken PKs or just that 1-goal margin. Not for April Bakken late against Nebraska. That's the only difference. A 2-0 win for Minnesota on Friday. Rio. So Penn State will start the way they started in the second half with the wind against them. They'll keep it on the ground. Quick turn. Albrecht there. One back, though, by Penn State. Williams creates her own space. Does not shoot it on frame.
That's better by Williams because she's taking it quickly. Too many times in the conference semifinals in this game, way too many touches, but this time she realizes that she has an opening. She gets it, quickly turns, does a preparation touch right there, and just hooks it, gets on the inside of the ball, the outside of the ball, and hooks it wide of the goal. But those second balls bouncing in front of the back line of Minnesota, it's key to have those players that can anticipate where it's going to fall to get onto it, and Charlotte Williams can do that.
Remember, no Carrie Abello. 7 goals on the season, not able to goal this weekend. Touch into space, and again, that shooting, finishing ability right now, not there. Moyer shot way off.
The shot for the Nittany
So it's
Lions by
that channel
number 18.
again in between the midfield and the back line. Penn State able to beat the midfield pressure. And if you're Minnesota and you know that shooting from a distance is not a strength, you're going to keep your numbers back. You're actually not going to send your defenders to go and shut down the shot. You're going to entice them to shoot that and make sure you keep a handle on the front runners that are sitting on your back line and tightening up any seams that may be open.
No goals allowed in the Big Ten tournament by either one of these teams. Maddie Nielsen and Amanda Dennis pitching shutouts. They may need to, they could be the story, right, if it goes to penalty kicks. Nielsen, the sophomore. Mentality is to try to do anything she can for this senior class. So supportive of her in goal. Tega Hirado. Talia Ferry is looking for Williams.
Oh, belly button. I thought you said belly.
Peterson punches it forward.
No, it's
He's
like
able to find Numador. Albrecht first times it. Flag is down. Bakken! What a touch right there. The difference is, of course, Dennis did not come off her line, but what a special touch.
By number 20, April Bakken. Save number 00, Amanda Dennis.
Other side, Frankie Taliaferri staying with it. It's still loose. Finally, Albrecht before Shiva can get there. End-to-end at the moment. Penn State taking their time with the throw-in. Forget Big Ten Field Hockey Championship coming up after this one. And quarterfinals of Big Ten men's soccer, Iowa and Maryland. for all the marbles in Evanston, campus of Northwestern, and that's where the championship game will be played in field hockey. In men's soccer later today, Indiana hosting Northwestern in the Big Ten men's soccer quarterfinals. What a flick from Taliaferri to Moyer. It's Heslin coming all the way back to get a touch on it. Albrecht, kind of a dangerous ball, won by Ogle. Ogle plays it to Jean. Numador trying to handle Jean. Jean staying with it. Numador has been effective off the bench for Stephanie Golan.
That's the first time we've seen anyone shut down one of Ellie Jean's runs. And that time it was just pure body, getting herself in between the ball and Jean.
Peterson heads it now. Jean again. Moyer taken down. Referee says it was clean. Numador has been ready. Ward's on the left. Bakken steps right into Real. Big Ten Defender of the Year against the Big Ten Forward of the Year. Bakken again. Little move. Real stays with her. Bakken will cut it back. When in doubt, Bakken will try to find Fiedler. And Real, just a special defender. Take it away from Fiedler.
And Bakken gets shut down, has to turn back, finds Fiedler, who then goes against Real and tries to see if she can have a turn to beat her. Real excellent defending. And that's a professional foul right there by Fiedler, bringing her down, allowing enough time for a team to get back and get organized.
Tega Hirata, who pushed forward quite a bit on Friday in that matchup against Janet Rayfield's Illini. Overtime soccer to find a Big Ten tournament champion here at Westfield, Indiana, Grand Park. 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here in the first overtime. You score in overtime, you win, and you're a champion. If not, we'll go to PKs to find a champion of this 2018 edition. Moyer. Neither one of these teams have conceded a goal in the Big Ten tournament. Heslin. Ogle. The battle there with Fiedler. And Fiedler wins this one. Fiedler taking it from the Big Ten Midfielder of the Year, playing it forward to Bakken. Bakken's got Numador. Bakken may take it herself, and then Real, the Big Ten Defender of the Year, gets involved.
Perfect defending, recovery defending, getting the ball at the right time. Bakken originally had her beat, but she was so far out and had so much distance to cover before she got anywhere threatening. She had to hold on to it, which allowed enough time for Real to come back. And now Minnesota's getting a little spell of possession on the ball.
Yeah, Numador has been a key part of that as well. Heslin over to Bakken.
1 minute remaining until the end of the first overtime period.
Ward.
1 minute.
Less than a minute remaining here in the first overtime. Penn State will have the win behind their backs in the second and final overtime. Taliaferri was hoping Williams was cutting back, but instead she went more central. One back though anyway by Schnurr. Schnurr's side of her foot. Ogle. Moyer. Moyer. Moyer again. Loose in front. Oh my, is sitting just outside the spot for Schnurr. And Schnurr, who had that great opportunity earlier, not able to put it on frame, and one overtime, not enough.
Ooh, that was another opportunity where she could have won the game, and that's all due to Moyer's excellent buzzing and getting the ball in and around the field. Moyer's working so hard. Her movement, she was starting on the left-hand side, cut over to the right, finds Ogle into the slot. I don't think that was her intended recipient. I think it was Talia Ferry. Schnurr able to get something on it and be the first one there. Schnurr's done a wonderful job getting on the inside shoulder of every single defender when making those slashing runs. Now it just needs that final piece and at least get it on goal to Tess Nielsen.
First multi-overtime game since 2000 for the Big Ten title. That was the one that Penn State won when they used to go multiple overtimes, 3 overtimes to knock off Michigan. And both these goalkeepers riding some phenomenal shutout streaks.
Well, just numbers behind for Minnesota. They're keeping so many numbers back, and if Nielsen stays on their line, they're very difficult to beat. And right now, Dennis coming up with some huge saves on those transition opportunities from Minnesota.
Our Dr. Pepper tournament look gets us to this point. You got to be in the top 8 to even make the Big Ten tournament. The first round, 2 of the games going to penalty kicks. As you saw, the Illini beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin, and Nebraska knock off the Buckeyes in Columbus. 1-0 scores on both ends of the bracket. Penn State using an own goal to get here. And it's been April Bakken with all the goals for Minnesota.
She's been dominant, especially in that semifinals in her opportunity. She looks a bit tired to me, purposely taking herself out of play. At first you think she's just trying to keep the width, which she may be doing, but can the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year find herself in positions to receive the ball more often? Right now, Minnesota hasn't been able to put together a ton of passes, but can she somehow figure out a way to be on the end when they clear pressure?
You see the shot differential, but remember now, Minnesota got all their shots with the wind behind their back. Penn State has been dealing against the wind for the second half and that first overtime. They will have the wind behind their backs to try to find the winner.
And Penn State has been the cleaner of the two teams in building possession. They just don't have that threatening player up top, except for Schnurr, who's had 2 opportunities to put the game away. They look tired. The game is getting sloppy, so now they just have 10 more minutes to concentrate and connect passes for both sides to try to move their team up the field and create a dangerous opportunity.
First overtime match between Minnesota and Penn State since back in 2007 in Minnesota when the Golden Gophers won 1-0 in 2 overtimes. That's where we are now, the second overtime, to find a champion of the 2018 Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament. Winding Stad will pop it forward. Numador has played a key role off the bench for Stephanie Golan here in this championship matchup. Peterson's going to let it roll out of bounds. As a former center back, let's start with Minnesota. If you're Peterson back there with Kuhn, you're also dealing with the wind. What is your approach in front of Nielsen as you try to get through these 9 minutes and maybe have a chance at PKs? How are you managing the game as a center back here with the overtime pressure, Kate?
Well, it becomes all about verbal communication, because that's the one thing that can go is your mental concentration. So if you've talked to other people, if you're telling them where to go, then you're going to stay in the game, and you have a better chance of keeping them in the game so they don't make those mental mistakes that might create an opportunity for the other team. There's no such thing as too much talk in tight moments.
Ogle. Rio. Jean. Moyer. Picked up there by Heslin.
And Penn State hoping to hold the ball a little bit more. They're moving it quicker, 1 and 2 touch, and they've put Ortega Jurado in the midfield, bringing in Suero in Ortega Herrero, excuse me, is so comfortable with the ball at her feet and building pressure. She's going to sit in those pockets and add another player in that midfield to help build the ball and move it closer to net.
Suero to Shiva. So we'll look to find OJ right on cue from Kate Markgraf. She's got it. Maddie Knopf will make an overlapping run, but Shiva will go back in. Nielsen gets over, goes down, and perhaps thinking about chopping a little bit of time. How about that deep breath right there? What a shot from our BTN crew. Been outstanding all weekend long.
And there you see the wind and the impact it makes. In the second half, when they had the wind at their back, that ball was bouncing 70 yards away from our own goal. Now it's only bouncing 40.
Suero. Ferry fights for it. And it could be that kind of second effort play, as it looked like Minnesota, well, not look like, they definitely were hoping that ball was going to run over the end line, and the extra effort from Penn State earns this throw in. We'll see what happens. Moyer there to receive it with Molly Fiedler on her just outside the 18. Thought about turning into Fiedler, a little nutmeg. And after the nutmeg, a foul. Moyer nutmegging Fiedler. Fiedler doesn't want anything to do with that.
And then Moyer gets called for the foul, just a little bit too much of the arms going back and forth. Look at this, back to pressure, able to spin. This is when you work on shielding and then how you're going to beat somebody. It's the fact that she put her arm in that the referee looks like from the angle that the AR was at, as well as the center ref saw, they put that one, but they both were handsy.
Jean. It's going to roll out of bounds, and we now have 5 minutes or thereabouts, 5 minutes remaining here in overtime. Will it be penalty kicks to determine the champion of the 2018 Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament? Jean. Ortega Jurado has pushed forward. Subs for Stephanie Golan have played key roles here. Beisman, now Bakken. Windingstad. Minnesota coaching staff led by Stephanie Golan. Everybody up. Everybody standing up. Nobody sitting anymore. Shiva there to take it away from Albrecht. Alina Ortega Jurado, Erica Dombach talking about her versatility. Can play anywhere on the field. Exception of goalkeeper, and has pretty much done that in her career. Elizabeth Ball graduating, so they slid Ortega Jurado back to that center back position. Look at Bakken able to knock off Ogle. And now you're starting to see, as you talked about just a little bit ago, Kate, that Friday, Sunday fatigue. So much on the line here. These teams are absolutely spent, and they're going to try to suck it up for 3 minutes and change here.
You get to see the head down, the extra arm waving just to get and cover 5 yards It's just going to take one moment where one player is able to put themselves in a dangerous position and possibly be aided by an error. But it's not going to happen unless you get higher up in the opponent's own box.
There is Stephanie Golan. You start to think about those bubbles. Penalty kicks would go down as a tie against a really good RPI team. And win or lose with that tie, you got to start to think that committee members looking at this team, great senior class, everybody healthy now, that's got to help their cause. And you think about Illinois, they lost on an own goal against this high RPI talented Penn State team. So perhaps 6 is not out of the question for the Big Ten.
Well, Minnesota was on the wrong side of the bubble when conference tournament started. Getting to this point has put them a little bit closer to the side they want to be on, and they need a statement today. You just wonder if this does go to penalty kicks, if a tie is a big enough statement to get themselves in.
I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to say that Rutgers statement was pretty good too, because Rutgers has a decent RPI. And I have zero impact.
Let me make this clear, just in case you were thinking.
Zippo. Shiva. Rio. Penn State not thinking tie. Gene's gonna cross it. Nielsen comes out nice and calm and able to handle it.
And a nice little give and go right there. Just excellent movement, a perfect touch, and just a poor execution of getting that cross. But Nielsen holds on to it, realizes she has time to catch the ball and compose her team.
1 minute remaining until the end of the second overtime period. 1 minute.
Bakken's been the hero for Minnesota, and right to Dennis. Boy, how fitting would that have been?
And every time she gets the ball, it's a collective breath. Everyone holds it to see what's going to happen. There just doesn't do enough to challenge Dennis.
Right now, Stephanie Golan saying, whatever you do, don't turn it over. Don't turn it over. And it's a turnover. In is Williams. Williams to win it. Oh, and she just fell over the ball. All she needed to do was try to keep it on the ground, go far post. Instead, it sails over the crossbar.
And this all comes from an errant pass from Albrecht and quick interplay. Excellent job by Penn State, recognizing this is a counterattack opportunity. Gets underneath it in that moment as she loses her balance.
6, 5, 4,
Final seconds being counted down by the public address announcer here at Grand Park. 2 overtimes, not enough to find a championship winner of the 2018 Big Ten tournament. So we'll go to penalty kicks. A thriller on BTN to find a winner. The trophy is waiting. Who's going to take it? Minnesota or Penn State? The drama of penalty kicks around the corner on BTN. First PK shootout in the championship game. And it's happening right here in Westfield, Indiana. Penn State going for the double. It'll be the 7th time if they can win on penalty kicks that Penn State has won the regular season and the Big Ten tournament in the same year. Minnesota, they've won this tournament twice, including just 2 years ago in 2016 when Stephanie Golan was your Big Ten Coach of the Year. Maddie Nielsen tried to act calm. You got to believe there's some nerves fluttering around for the sophomore.
There are nerves, but in the end, the onus is on the kicker. As a goalkeeper, your only job is to do what you're going to do and play solid, and don't make a mistake. Let them beat you. Don't beat yourself. I'm a firm believer in not guessing and just trying to go for it. When you think you know where they're going, go that way. Don't just pick one side. Force them to beat you.
That's a great point. You think about the pressure on the goalkeepers. It is not easy walking that 30 yards forward, taking that ball, putting it down on the spot. There's a lot of marbles churning around there too, right, for the players taking the kicks.
And you're going to watch the gamesmanship from the goalkeepers. This is a total mental game where you're trying to mess with the player by taking time, avoiding going to the line until you absolutely have to, trying to make eye contact to disrupt the kicker's focus. And you're seeing it right now, just a slow walk back by Dennis.
April Bakken will go first. She did not look at Dennis at all. Zero eye contact. Waiting for the whistle is Bakken. Dennis set. Bakken perfectly struck inside the post. And the first one is good for Minnesota.
And the sigh of relief when you make that first kick, not only as a kicker, but just as a veteran to put this team on. Dennis covered some significant ground on her dive, but just too much power and action inside netting. That was unsavable.
Little wry smile there from Bakken. And now Emily Ogle, redshirt senior. Both teams starting with their veterans. Big Ten Forward of the Year putting it by. Now the Big Ten Midfielder of the Year. Whistle. Ogle, deep breath, goes forward, and Nielsen guessed right and almost got her paw out to it, but 1-1 Ogle with the finish.
And I love that the leaders are the first ones taking it. The quick step up, opens her hips up at the last moment. Not enough time for Nielsen to read it to get something on it. And just execute it 1-1.
So here comes Heslin. I wonder if Stephanie Golan will go all seniors here. Emily Heslin, the number 6 midfielder, plays that holding mid spot. Heslin, oh no! And she hit it too high over the crossbar, and certainly disappointment for the senior from Woodbury.
And she steps up, and look at how long her approach is, and she goes with the inside of her foot and lifts it. Usually with the inside of the foot, you get a little bit more accuracy, and that she gets underneath it and goes off the crossbar, and you get to see her fellow teammate trying to calm her down in Bakken.
All right, number 27, Larissa Shiva. She scored the thrilling winner against Michigan in the first game of the Big Ten tournament. And she's a senior from Sellersville, PA, part of that Penn Fusion program. So now Nielsen gonna try to deny Shiva. Shiva. And Shiva misses. And here we go. One good, one bad for both teams.
And that's just too much time to think about it. You should already know where you're going before you go. She does that, but she takes a big, deep breath, so many steps out wide. And this is all mental. There is no reason why anyone who plays soccer that can't do it. And trust me, I didn't take that many penalty kicks. I didn't want to. So this isn't me saying this is easy. I took one in my career at the international level. But this is such a mental mind game. You need those people that are rock solid to be able to convert it.
Haley Hartkemeyer, look at that. One step in as Haley Hartkemeyer, a junior from Wisconsin. How about that? Didn't play at all, and that is a smile well-deserved.
And look how quick that is, right? The whistle blows and she quickly goes. There's not enough time to think about it, and she puts it away.
Unbelievable moment for the junior. And gives Minnesota, at the moment, a 2-1 lead, but Penn State on the back half of these alternating penalty kicks through 5 rounds. Shay Moyer, sophomore, with the whistle. Deep breath, takes her time. Moyer, out, she misses it. And Minnesota in good shape here, up 2-1 through 3.
And it just comes down to this moment. Doesn't matter how well you play, and just totally gets on the inside of the ball. It's interesting. The players that have missed it have chose the inside of their foot and gone with power and getting too much underneath it. That one just completely missing the net. Just bad foot placement.
Stephanie Golan going deep to her bench. You can take any player you want that is eligible. They did not have to play in the game, as we already saw a moment ago with Hartkemeyer coming on. And now it's going to be Haley Menace, who also hasn't played, the junior from McLean, Virginia. Menace! Oh, and it's off the crossbar, and she clangs it. And now Penn State can tie it right back up here with the fourth penalty kick. It's 2-1. Penn State still to go with their fourth.
And the short kick up, and she's trying to chip the keeper, thinking the keeper's gonna go down. And just the too much underneath it gets the crossbar.
Number 5, Maddie Nolf.
All right, so Maddie Nolf will step forward for Penn State. Also a redshirt senior, a key part of that 2015 national championship team. Maddie Elliston Nolf to try to tie it through the first 4 PKs. Nolf, extra second, extra breath, and then the hammer, and through 4, just like that. Each team have made 2 of their first 4 kicks.
Just look at the excitement, the happiness, knowing that she got her team back into it 2-2. Not perfectly taken, but enough power to beat Nielsen. And Nielsen keeping her team's head up. This is all on the kickers. This has really very little to do with the goalkeepers. They just have to play big.
So number 4, Caitlin Haslip will take it, and an easy done job. 3 players off the bench for Stephanie Golan. This one a freshman, so clearly penalty kicks have been a key issue. And Haslip was Emily Peterson, my bad, reverse there. Emily Peterson, the senior, getting it done, of course. The information reverse. Emily Peterson stepped right up and nailed it.
And now you're going to have the other center back on the other side. Big Ten Defender of the Year, trying to keep her team in this.
So Peterson makes it 3-2. Nielsen going to try to deny Rio. Oh, and Nielsen has guessed right every single time, but Rio slides it through, and now we'll go to extra PKs.
Tied 3 apiece going into after 5 rounds. Going into round number 6.
And Rio, nothing too deceptive there, but just hits it perfectly. You don't have to do too much. It's just a matter of picking your spot and just hitting it, a nice solid touch to let it convert. And Nielsen, hand strength, not enough to push it away.
TJ McKendrick. How about those quick penalty kicks for Stephanie Golan's team? Emily Peterson, number 4, TJ McKendrick. And now Minnesota's put themselves in a spot again to win.
And everyone has their own style, but I prefer the ones that go quickly because it doesn't allow any time for doubt to creep in your mind as the kicker.
So Penn State pushing forward here now.
Number
Kim Dubs.
Kim Dubs.
Dubs over it. Nielsen ready. Dubs to extend the PKs with the shot. Oh, and Nielsen had guessed again. She's guessed right every single time, but just getting by her, and more extra PKs.
And that is the one
Going to round number
that
7.
Nielsen could have saved.
For Minnesota.
It's not well hit,
Number
it's
2,
bouncing.
McKenzie.
And just because it's hit a little bit slower was the only way she could have gotten something onto it because it was accurately placed. Just didn't have a ton of power.
Mackenzie Langdock. Dennis ready, and Langdock, what a beautiful finish. And Minnesota again in position to win it if Nielsen can deny Penn State.
And this is a great taken PK. 3 steps, boom, power, pace, and just converts it. Side netting. Dennis could have done nothing about that one.
So Frankie Tagliaferri, first team all Big Ten, sophomore against sophomore here. Nielsen ready, Tagliaferri to extend the game. And Nielsen has given Minnesota the 2018 Big Ten Women's Soccer Championship and a spot in the NCAA tournament.
Coming into this conference play, Minnesota was on the wrong side of the bubble in order to control their destiny, to be in the driver's seat. Their goal is to win this thing out so they could earn a spot in postseason play and extend their season, rewarding those seniors that have dedicated so much to the program. Penn State had their opportunities. They had the lion's share of possession. They created more dangerous chances, but they weren't able to execute. Took the Nittany Lions to penalty kicks, and Nielsen coming up big with the save.
The senior class has been amazing, taking the stairs for Stephanie Golan and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Emily Peterson coming up big. Maddie Castro coming up big. And Nielsen with the save. The sophomore wanted to do it right for the seniors and this team that has been together, and they'll take home the title.